Hey guys, it's James from Life Transitions. I am the owner and managing director of Life Transitions Burial and Cremation Service Incorporated, commonly just referred to as Life Transitions. We are Chatham, Kent, and Sarnia Lambton's newest, most innovative funeral company. As the title of this video is, we spend a lot of time explaining to people what our company is. And we love it. We love explaining who we are. We realize that we're a new concept to the general public in our area, as compared to what people have been used to over the last, say, 75 years in funeral service. We are a new approach to an old undertaking. That's a phrase that we've been sort of saying since we opened. And what makes us different is that we're a Class 1 licensed funeral establishment, licensed by the province of Ontario, which says, as a Class 1, we are legally enabled, entitled, and licensed to provide every type of funeral available. We help burial families that are looking for burial of their loved one, and cremation families that are looking for cremation. Now, 75%, according to the numbers of last year, 75% of Ontario residents that pass away are being cremated. So you can easily say most people are cremated. We find that we're every once in a while struck by someone that is quite convinced that we only do cremation. And I guess we talk about cremation a lot, and cremation is very common, and so and we're a different kind of concept of a funeral company, so it's understandable that people could be confused. So like I said, we spend a lot of time explaining what we are, who we are, how we do things. But we absolutely serve burial families. We've served several burial families since we've opened. And as I said, I intentionally said our full legal name, which is Life Transitions Burial and Cremation Service Incorporated. We were very careful, Leanne and I, to try to come up with a fully comprehensive name. We didn't want to have funeral home in our name because we wanted to be different, and we are. So we've left funeral out of our name, but Life Transitions Burial and Cremation Service Incorporated, we figured that would kind of encapsulate and show people that we certainly serve both types of disposition that are available to us in Ontario. I met with a wonderful lady yesterday that is prearranged with us, and we're honored to serve her. But she said she meets with some friends at a McDonald's even. I'm not sure if you've ever noticed senior citizens that gather in kind of groups, kind of like gangs in McDonald's. I love to see that because it's a social group. They come and they do their thing, they interact, and they network. It's a real thing. I'll probably be one of those seniors in a McDonald's someday too. I love that. But she said in her kind of group, she had some people telling her very clearly, well, you can go there, meaning us, but they only do cremation. And this lady was pretty sure she'd heard our full name, and now that we're completely arranged with her now, she left with some of our business cards that have our full name on there. And we had to chuckle because she said, I'm going back to McDonald's and I'm going to show them that you do burial. So it's we're pretty tongue-in-cheek about things. We're not we try not to be those kind of creepy, stiff funeral home people. But I find that we're often explaining how we do things, because if you were to ever see our office, and I can't assume that everyone that sees this video is going to come to our office. Maybe you don't live anywhere near our office. The families that we serve in Sarnia, we never expect them to come all the way to Chatham for our office, so we go to them to make arrangements. Some families that we've served right here in Chatham have never once been to our office. It's not a requirement. You don't need to come to our office. Our office is a place where we have conversations, we answer questions, we arrange things, we direct things, but we launch from our office. Our office is not a place where we have gatherings, or we have a visitation, or we have even a memorial service. Our office is very much the place of arranging. It's the arrangement office. But if you were to come to our office, you'd quickly realize, as I said, wait a minute, where's all the rooms? Where's the room full of caskets? Where's the what they used to call on 6 Feet Under, the slumber room? visitation suites. Anyway, we don't have any of those things. We've greatly removed or reduced much of the traditional overhead of a funeral home to enable us to be a bit more creative, where folks are saying, well, where's my service? We say, what's going to make sense for you? What's a personal place for you? Is it your church for a gathering? Is it the Moose Lodge? Is it your golf course where you've been part of? Is it the Legion? Is it the art gallery? There's many places that are more than open to hosting events, whether they be a traditional funeral or memorial service. Some people don't want any gathering like that. It'll be very private, and we would sort of direct as much as possible. But we operate in that kind of a style where we're kind of a undertakers at large, I guess you'd say. That sounds kind of bizarre, but we find the places that match the families, those that are wanting that type of service, a gathering place. And obviously, well, maybe it isn't obvious, by removing much of that overhead, if you know anything about a funeral bill, if you've ever received a funeral bill, if you've ever seen a funeral bill or heard of a funeral bill, you know they can get quite large quite quickly. Much of that bill is largely based on overhead that must be recovered by a funeral home. All of those slumber rooms and all of that space and the parking lot and people in matching ties and all that kind of stuff. The manicured shrubs even, they're wonderful. But that's called business overhead, and you need to pay for that. That's why it does not take very long to get up to $5,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $12,000 for your service. So we figured, Leanne and I, by looking at the model of some other businesses that are really thriving across North America, we would remove much of that overhead and therefore directly connect the way that we're able to price things out to make things what we would consider much more affordable compared to the standard model. So the big difference with us, as we've explained many times, certainly is price, but it's price based on the removal of much of that overhead. And not because we don't see value in that, and certainly we are absolutely not delusional by thinking that everyone is going to want our service or is going to want to deal with our company. We're not going to be a match for everybody. We realize that. And that's great because we live in a free country. We live in the greatest country in the world. And those people that are most comfortable being in a funeral home, which sometimes it's hard to find someone that would say, oh, you know what, I am most comfortable in a funeral home. But those that would say, no, when I think about the funeral that I want a visitation room, and I want all these kind of things. You got some great choices. In Chatham, you got great choices. Across Chatham-Kent, there's great choices. In Sarnia, there's great choices of traditional funeral homes. But we're not that. We're not that. We're as I described. Now, certainly, as I mentioned, the price difference. We like to think that we're very personable. We're not always in suits. We are not always in kind of funeral mode. I get invited to speak to all kinds of different groups, young and old, rural, urban, and really, again, just explaining who we are to people. And the feedback we seem to get is, you guys seem really laid back. You seem very kind of down to earth. I take that as a high compliment. Because I'm only at 48 years old. I'm pretty much stuck like this now. This is kind of how I am in all settings, and so I'm glad to know that a more unscripted approach to these interactions are welcomed. And I worked for a large company, a large funeral corporation, for about 15 years. They're a fantastic employer. Couldn't say a bad thing about them. But there was things that I learned along the way that some companies would want their staff scripted. When you answered a phone, you said a certain thing a certain way, or when you did a funeral arrangement, you would follow a certain format. Regardless of how the family was going, this is the format you followed. And I find the more unscripted and easygoing, people seem to appreciate that. So I guess we specialize in that. We're specializing in unscripted conversations. We hopefully we take cues off of the families we serve, because it didn't take long for us to realize that once our doors opened, that we no longer work for the funeral industry. We work for you. We work for you, the family. We want to find out what's going to work best for you. We don't want people emotionally overspending. We don't want people emotionally underspending, whatever that even means. We want to find the best way to serve your family that is going to be the most meaningful and certainly the most affordable. And now, I was talking to Leanne earlier. She said, make sure when you say affordable or simple, that doesn't always necessarily mean that you're not having a gathering. Some people are bent on saying, nope, no one is to gather, no one is to do anything. But certainly, simple and affordable looks different for everybody. Some people would say, well, when I say simple and affordable, I mean we're still going to have a visitation, but it's going to be just before the service. Or we're going to have burial, but we're going to meet right at the cemetery and have a service, and then burial takes place. So everyone is so different. That whole idea that has existed for a long time of this kind of, people say cookie cutter, and that's kind of been used to death. But I like to think of it, it's like this framework that the funeral industry likes to put onto families, saying you'll have this service and this service, almost like do you want a combo number 3, a combo number 4, and people don't want to be put in those boxes, I've found. So certainly, simple and affordable means different things to different people. And we have the freedom to follow your directions. It's vital. You're the client, you're the customer, and as the old adage goes, the customer's always right. So I think that's about all we were going to cover. Yeah, we didn't want to go too long without going live. We're still figuring out this live business. Do you do a commercial the day before saying, hey, we're going live? Because I see we've got 3 people on right now. That's 4 people. People are jumping in here. Jane Stewart is an amazing resource, a brilliant woman. Tara Smith, we love the laid-back, down-to-earth, real people that you guys are. No magic tie required. LOL. That means lots of love, right? Okay, I know. It's laugh out loud. Thanks, Tara. You're a great support. And so yeah, we're figuring out all this kind of business here with the Facebook Live. We'll get it figured out. But this is an amazing porthole to say, hey, we're here to serve. We love answering questions. And so in all this bumbling around, if you're still wondering what the heck is Life Transitions, please give us a call, 351-4444. We have a toll-free number, but I'm sorry, it's not in my head right now. Check our Facebook page, like our page. We appreciate the Facebook support has been incredible. And actually, as a footnote here, I said I was done, but here I keep talking. As a footnote, because of Facebook and the activity, we've made some great industry friends down in Lincoln, Nebraska. Down? Yeah, they're down on a diagonal from where we are. They're a bit more south. But Lincoln, Nebraska, there's a wonderful company called Lincoln Family Funeral Care. And they're designed very similar to our company. And we've been sort of sharing ideas, but we're kind of a kindred spirit where we're thinking the consumer is king. The consumer gets what the consumer wants. And we don't need to perpetuate goofy things about, if you use this casket, you'll last forever, and just silly things that the industry has told people. And it's because of Facebook, we met each other, and it's a great thing to support each other from a distance. Maybe we'll make it down to Lincoln, Nebraska someday. So hey, thanks for watching. Spread the word. We're glad to be here, and have a fantastic night. We'll see you.